Hey, y'all, I'm Shane Sams, the host of the Membership Masters podcast. I'm a self-employed, location-independent online entrepreneur, and I've built multiple million-dollar memberships, and I've helped thousands of people start, build, and grow memberships of their own. I started the Membership Masters podcast to help membership owners just like you get and keep more members every single month. I started the Membership Masters podcast to help membership owners just like you get and keep more members every single month so you can build $1 million membership too. Today's show is going to be a great one. My guest today is Kate All of Simple Pen Media. Kate is a great friend, is in a mastermind with my wife, Jocelyn. She runs an incredible Pinterest agency and membership community of Pinterest marketers. I absolutely loved this conversation with Kate All, and I know that you will too. In today's Membership Masters podcast, you will learn how Kate built her Pinterest collective into an amazing membership community of people paying her nearly $100 a month every single month. We're going to talk about how you can use Tripwires to convert more cold traffic into paying members. And we develop a strategy live on the air in true mastermind format for using order bumps to get more leads into your membership the day they opt into your email list. I hope you're ready to geek out on traffic and funnels today. I know this episode is going to help you get and keep more members this month. But before we get started, I've got one question for you. Are you ready to become a membership master today? All right, let's go. Kate All, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing good. We're doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Trying to navigate the crazy ocean we're all living in these days.
I know,
right?
It's just bonkers.
Bonkers. That's a great word. Bonkers. Like that's if any word could sum up 2020, it would be bonkers. Like
yes, and just there's no predicting. Like anybody who's like, I predicted this, I'm like, yeah, right. Like nobody saw this coming.
What would surprise you at this point? Like seriously, aliens? Like would that not surprise?
Yeah,
that would surprise you.
That
Maybe
really
a little.
is all that's left.
Yeah, that's
pretty
it.
much.
If someone came down like, yeah, we've been on Mars this whole time.
Right, exactly. Like surprise. In fact, we just got word yesterday that our school will be all online for like the first chunk of time, and I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if the whole year is online. So let's just prepare for it now.
I know but we're having school, but I don't think they're going to have school. They say they're going to have school, but like when that first kid gets the Rona and like, you know what I'm saying?
Totally. It's out. Over. Oh yeah.
It's yeah. So I don't know, but you know what? Here's the most bizarre thing about it to me. The online world is pretty okay. Like it seems like online business is like, yeah, we're cool. Like hanging on, it's harder. There's more to think about, but like it's still kind of happening,
Yeah, I don't know if you guys felt this too, but I felt like once it all hit, I felt like actually the online world like amped up. Like our Q2 felt like we just like put on the gasoline, and it was like, where we went into Q3 and it was like, let's just settle into back refinement. Yeah, like, let's really not do anything.
Everybody calm down, right?
And there was that first burst too, where like the internet is lagging for everybody because everybody's, and people who are normally not online are like, how do I use Zoom? How do I do all these things? It was kind of like, welcome. We've been here this whole time.
That's exactly how it felt. It was like, and like, I think it's because entrepreneurs, especially like what's interesting, because I talk to a lot of people, like, and a lot of my friends have different business models, like, right? Like we all have courses and memberships and coaching, and there's like a million different things you can do online, right?
Yep.
But it was funny, like I felt like the entrepreneurs who led communities, especially, like when we knew that it was going to be okay, we could still reach out, and everything wasn't happening everywhere, even though the news wants you to feel that way.
Right.
So, like I had this guy in Iowa who's in our community. He's in the membership, and I'm like, hey man, how's it going out there? And he goes, I don't know. It's like, I see this stuff on the news, and he's like, I'm just chugging along, man. And I'm like, yeah, so are we. Like, and it's like, I felt like entrepreneurs really did go into overdrive and say, hey, we're not going quietly into the night. I got a membership to grow. I got people to serve, and I'm here to stay. So we'll see y'all on the other side of the chaos, basically.
Oh, 100%. And for me, where we were at is that Pinterest actually, the user usage increased, the time spent on the platform increased, the clicks increased. So we were seeing a lot of our clients and our community members just skyrocket. And they were like, I don't see this in Q2. Like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And so they also felt this pressure as people were at home and interacting with these online platforms, buying more things because their buying habits of online people had also shifted, right? Like you can't go on vacation, but now everybody's buying a trampoline.
But you can look at pictures on Pinterest of things that are like vacation.
You can dream about travel. You may not be able to go for 3 years, but you can dream about it.
Right, exactly. So that's good. That's actually pretty awesome because, now's never been, it's literally never been a better time to have an online membership.
Yes.
Period.
Agreed.
Like everybody's involved, everybody's at home, everybody's engaged with what you're doing. And that's a recipe to make lots of money if you're an expert in the field,
Yes.
So like tell me a little bit. We're recording right now, by the way. This show's totally informal and we're just rocking and rolling.
I love it. I saw it right away. I was like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, we're good. So tell me a little bit more about your business. I mean, I know your business because you and Jocelyn are friends and but like tell me what all the makeups of it are, because this is a pretty like advanced business you got going over there.
Yeah, and not something I expected. So when I started in 2014, it was just organic Pinterest management. So we would basically just get clients and we would manage their Pinterest presence so that they could really focus on other things. Well, over those 4 years, we grew in clients pretty drastically. And then there became this weird thing where we saw our whole just community look different, right? Where there were people who couldn't afford us as our prices were increasing. And we were kind of pulling away from, we never wanted to be virtual assistants. We really wanted to be this high-level agency. So as we pulled away, what we found were people are like, I still want your education. So that merged into a podcast, which then we went down the road of courses. And one of the things that always felt frustrating to me about a course was that Pinterest changes all the time. And so if I'm going to create a course, I could do all these big batches of videos, and then 3 days later, Pinterest is like, oh, our profile doesn't look the same, or that button's in the wrong place. And so I shut down all of my courses actually, and I thought I have to find a different way to teach. So also at the same time, Simple Pin was growing into an image department, Promoted Pins, which is the advertising platform on Pinterest. And then it just kind of grew bigger and bigger. And then I realized I still love the teaching component. And actually, when I was in Mexico with Jocelyn and the other ladies from the mastermind, they were like, why don't you do a membership? And, the moment I talked to Jocelyn, she lights up about membership. She's like, oh, yeah, you can do this and this.
I don't think you can be with me or Jocelyn for more than 15 minutes before we're like, so how's that going to become a membership? Right?
Totally. Yeah. Exactly. So in May of 2019, just after we had gotten back from Mexico, and they were like, you got to do this because it allows you to be nimble while you're teaching, but then coach. And that's really what people want, is they can get information like a fire hose, but then they're like, but tell me how to do it, or help me over this hurdle, or answer my question. So we started the Simple Pin Collective, which is our Pinterest marketing membership community, in May of 2019, and have just continued to grow it ever since. And we've kept open enrollment. Like, we haven't done an open closed cart model yet, just because we really wanted to see what happened those first 6 months. Like, what did people need? How did we need to teach for them? And I really wanted to be aware of that. So now the company is all these different departments, and I get to move into this place of really true CEO and kind of just teaching and being thought leader. And we have 38 team members, employees.
Every time I hear you say that, I'm like, I got 4. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right, if you count Jocelyn and me, it's 6.
Yeah,
so it's like,
totally.
like we grab a contractor every once in a while. I'm like, man,
right.
But it's funny. I've been more and more. I want that though, because I realized, especially this year, it's so funny, man. I hired these people, and we went full-time W-2. Like, we're trying to build a team that is not contract. We don't want to hire contractors if we don't have to, because it's just such a difference in people that go to bed thinking about your business, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But I have noticed that my leverage of what we can accomplish if I get into that CEO role and like other people are managing the community and we've got qualified, well-trained coaches in there to help people, right? Like our goal long term is like every time we get another 1,000 people, we hire a new community manager, right? We just keep stacking them.
Yeah.
And we have high-level coaches. You can just do so much more. Like we're creating so much content right now. Like we're about to go to 3 Flipped Lifestyle podcasts a week.
Wow.
A membership masters podcast, and then we take all of our Q&As and we cut them up. We're releasing a Q&A on YouTube and another podcast every day in August. So like, but it's funny. You only need a couple people to do that. You just can't do it. Right?
Well, and this is such a great point. And I think for me, I actually took a vacation last week where I was camping at the beach, no cell service, no internet, no nothing. And when my mind started to kind of free up from the day to day, I realized like I'm doing way too much. And that doing way too much is squelching the creativity of what I want to do and how I want to grow. And then I came home and had a call with my coach, and she was like, I feel like I've been trying to tell you this for the last year, but I'm really glad you just realized it. And it was, such a light bulb moment. But I think one of the cool things that I realized was that I have taken that rocket fuel test where it's like visionary integrator, and I'm neither, right? I hover higher visionary, but I do both. So to turn off my follow through and to turn off my fact finder is really difficult for me. But then once I do, I realized, I have team members who are loyal and ready to take my vision and run with it. So why am I not letting them do it? Because oftentimes they do it better than me. They're more creative.
Yes. Yeah. If you get the right people in the right spot, and then, I think it's also about like leadership and training too. And like, it's funny because if you're going to run a membership, like you can get a membership and you can get you 100 members and you can make a living, right?
Yeah.
But if you really want to be like wide level impact, you've got to have a team. And really you should have a team because they are better than you. Like what's crazy during the pandemic, as everyone did. Kids are a mess right now. I don't know what to do with our kids.
Totally.
If anybody has any tips on how to get my iPad out of my son's hand, that'd be amazing. Or no, his Switch, because we've pretty much we're on level like 8,000 on Animal Crossing at this point.
Yes, or Fortnite, Zelda.
Fortnite, Zelda, whatever it is. Jocelyn actually, listen to this. Jocelyn played the entire game of Zelda. Start to finish.
Way.
No, listen, Jocelyn, she loved Zelda at the beginning. And like, you know how it is, you're home all the time. You're like, there's some boredom right now because of all this. Yes. And she's like, I'm going to play Zelda. And she beat it. Like over the pandemic, over the last like 4 months, which is massive amount of time into Zelda. But anyway, what was I talking about?
Building teams.
Building teams. Yeah. But being able to put your team together. What was I saying? I had a point. I had a really good point. We got off on a tangent.
Yeah, no, I think it's like follow me through. But okay, so I'll kind of tack onto your point thing, and I think I know where we're going. But extending the life and getting more people. Like you can have this group of 100 that you start with, but then growing. And I think
that's right.
Yeah, and I think it might have been Jocelyn who said it. I can't remember, but one of the things I did in the beginning, because my secret skill is outsourcing, but I get caught up because I abdicate too much without direction. And I think you have to catch yourself as a leader to go, no, people need coaching to really get it right and feel confident. And once they do, that's really where the magic happens. So there's this messy area, but I actually asked 5 mentors who I had already seen in my community. I have a big free Facebook group. So I knew that they were active. I knew that they were really sound teachers. And I said, hey, can you come over here and be mentors? And then we'll have a couple of my team members too in here, to where oftentimes their answers to the question are far beyond what I would answer. And so the community actually gets not just me, but they get 7 people who are really, really smart
and paying attention to them. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we can't do as the leader of the membership, right? All the time. Yeah. And I remember what I was going to say now, because we were talking about the kids being distracted. Anyway, our lives have all been chaotic. And me and Jocelyn realized there was some tension and stress, right? And we were like, okay, well, let's search through this, which I'm sure a lot of married people out there right now are like, there's a lot of tension and stress.
Yeah.
And what we figured out was one of the things that was causing a problem is that we were together all the time for these Flipped Lifestyle podcast interviews, right? And the problem of being tethered together when you literally don't have childcare anymore, because you have parents and grandparents who are, older, and there's a risk because of the coronavirus and school's canceled and all this chaos in your schedule, right? There's no activities, so you're not dropping your kids off anywhere, right?
Yeah.
And we realized being tethered together was really, really bad. And we started looking at it. And Jocelyn at the same time was kind of like, I don't know if I'm finding a lot of joy being on the podcast. I think that my skills might be better somewhere else. I don't know where they'll be better, but they're going to be better used somewhere else. And so we started talking about this, and we came up with this system where, well, wait a minute, what if I just do all the interviews and I can batch them, because I can talk from now until midnight if you want me to, And I said, let me batch all the interviews, and then you can do segments. Like you can do, like if you want to say something, you can do a segment on a tip. If you want to do the intro, like there's a little 5-minute intro now before the music starts. And then like, we'll just do it that way, and we'll just untether ourselves from each other. Right.
Yeah.
But then that got me thinking, later, after we're going to do this, we did the first 5, we released the first one. A couple of people reached out, and we were like, okay, we probably need to do a podcast about this to tell people what's going on. So we figured out the logistics, and we're like, this works. This actually works. Like, this created less stress the week that we did this. But then at the same time, as I was thinking about it, I thought, man, wait, I said, I wonder if eventually I could remove myself from the podcast. Like, could there be a day where I put together a job scorecard for a podcast host, and I go out and say, well, there's got to be somebody better than me at this out there.
Right.
Like, no matter how good you are at something, someone is better than you, and they don't have a job, and they will take your money. And I was like, what if we could build that? And then it got me thinking, well, wait a minute. If that's true, if I'm not even any more tethered to podcasting, which I love to podcast, I'm going to keep doing something. But if I'm not tethered to one show, could we have Flip Your Life for online business? But then could we have Flip Your Finances and have a Dave Ramsey style money brand? And we just hire a host for it. Like, could we have Flip Your Marriage and like hire marriage counselors who are really good on the mic to talk to our members and help them on the air? Like, and then all of a sudden I drew this umbrella, and I thought, man, this membership could turn into 10 memberships if you're the CEO, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're doing everything, it's never going to turn into that.
Yeah, because you're exhausted. Like, you really don't have the bandwidth to think creatively. And when you don't have that, you're just drowning in, you're putting out fires. And sometimes I think we look at getting stuff done as like quick wins or really moving things forward, but really we just make ourselves feel better because we're checking something off our list.
For sure.
So yeah, I totally agree with you. And that's the epiphany I had last week was, how do we take this even bigger? Like, if I want to really expand this, like, what does that look like? And that for me has expanded into teaching people how to do what I do.
Agency stuff, basically.
Agency stuff. Yeah. So teaching them how to be a Pinterest account specialist, but with that higher level model. Like, I don't want to teach you how to be a VA. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in you leveling up to go bigger. And I have the model to do it. I've done it. 7 years I've built it. So I just take all the systems I have and put them over here and teach them. And they're like, their minds are blown. They're like, I never thought about this. Oh my gosh, no one's ever taught this. And I'm like, that's because, everybody's teaching you how to just be a virtual assistant. And I don't want that for you. I want you to be Nordstrom level. I want you to be high level. So I'm going to push you to do that. And I expect on the other side of you coming through this membership that you are that. And I think that was just a cool thing for me to translate, teaching just Pinterest to teaching building a business, which just lit a whole new fire under me that I'm like, oh, there's so many things I can do with that.
This is fun cool. Over here. There's a new, And I love what you said. I actually think we had this same epiphany at the same time, because last year I launched the Membership Masters newsletter, which was before this podcast by a year. Right.
Yeah.
And I always kind of had the plan of doing something like this, but it didn't feel right to just advance it as part of Flip Your Life, right? Even though it's the same kind of topic. And I actually got challenged on a mastermind. I was like, what do you want? I'm like, well, I want 10,000 members. And they're like, do you really want that? I'm like, I don't know if I want that. And I'm like, so I started thinking about it. I was like, well, wait a minute. Maybe I don't want 10,000 members. Maybe I want 10 memberships with 1,000 members each. Like maybe there's something deeper and wider here. Like, could we go wide? And that would actually be easier, because getting to 1,000 members is actually kind of straightforward. Mm-hmm. It's not easy. It's just straightforward. Right. And I do have the systems to do that. We've done it multiple times. So I was like, well, what if I could just do that again? So I was like, wait a minute, Membership Masters is just a different segment, and it's just a different subscription. Let's get to 1,000 there. And like, and as you like your agency thing, like, okay, wait a minute. Well, these are all people in the world. What's another thing that we could do for these people in the world that are in this Pinterest world?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's this agency thing, and that could look totally different. It could be 500 a month and something different, right? Like,
yeah, definitely. It's way higher level because I'm teaching people how to build a really sustainable business, giving them my system. And I think it's just the realization, like, oh, like even for you, oh, we do this all the time. We can do it in our sleep. Like you said it, I know the systems. I know how to get to 1,000. I know all of this. I don't need, it's not hard for me to figure it out. So I just translate what I know and put it into a form that people can consume, and people's minds are blown because it hasn't really ever been shown. I think in this industry too, in the online world, what we've been sold over the years is this idea that like there's a secret. And sometimes the secret is just somebody's system that you've never seen before. It's not something magical. It's just, I never thought of it that way. And so people will buy courses and do all these things and they don't get anything new, or they don't get any system. They just get like a thought or an idea and they come away disappointed. And they're like, that really didn't help me. Yes. And so I think it's changing the way we teach too in memberships to say, we want you to have a series of aha moments that affect your business, because it might not be an entire course. Like, I mean, I think people have high expectations too of courses to say, I'm going to spend $2,000 on a course. This better like revolutionize my business. And they maybe come away with like one thing. Whereas with a membership, you get to keep having these points of contact with them, especially in coaching calls where they're like, never thought about that. And so I love that moment because it makes it so much more worth it than a big comprehensive course that needs to be updated every 7 days.
Yeah, that's hard for the agency people too. Like you teach Pinterest, and the thing is, like, you can't control what Pinterest does, right? Yeah. Like I can kind of control like the membership space, right? Like I can control in our education company, I can control what history teachers are doing. Like Abraham Lincoln's always the 16th president. This isn't going to change.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying? But like Pinterest is like, let's move the button to the left, right? Yes. Let's change the thing. And like, it's I coached somebody to do a Facebook membership to teach Facebook ads one time. And they were having this problem. They're like, every time I make a course, it screws up. And I'm like, well, let's look at your courses, because we do have courses in our memberships, right? Yep. But they're bite sized. Like none of my courses are over 30 minutes. It's like, you're going to do this week. And then you're going to have that aha moment. And then next week we'll do the next thing. Like it's not positioned like a course, right? And if you get stuck, you have a place to ask questions. Or like today, someone sent me a message that said, hey, we found something that's not true anymore in our membership. Like that just happened on my team meeting this morning. And I'm like, okay, we'll take that course out and I'll redo that one and we'll stick it back in there and it'll probably be good for 2 years. Right?
Yes.
It's the same thing with this. We looked at her Facebook membership, and if you're teaching something that you're not in control of and you have to change often, we cut her trainings down to 3 minutes. They were literally bite-sized chunks, because we looked at like a 30-minute thing, like, I don't know, like putting the Facebook pixel on or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we said, okay, well, wait a minute. Well, what are you really doing here? Let's make a bulleted list. Mm-hmm. So we ended up with like 6 bullets for that thing. It was like log in, check the thing, and everywhere we thought that they could change something, we kind of noted it, right?
Yeah.
So what she did is she went in and she changed in her membership every 3 to 5 minutes. They're really short courses now. So now when something changes, what changed this month? Okay, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, done, right?
Yep.
And she knows when things change, because a membership puts you in so much contact with your community. They ask the question like, man, that button wasn't in the right place. Mm-hmm. Okay, put that on the schedule. We'll batch that on Monday. It's over. Right?
Yeah.
And you can't do that with a course that's $3,000. You just can't do it.
You can't. And one of the interesting things that we did with our membership was, we had this first year of building foundational elements. Like these are the things we know people need for Pinterest. And now we're going back into it and still taking the same month and making a theme. So if we have image month this month, we have an image unit. Okay, let's go back to it and look at it. Maybe update the PDF that it goes along with the videos or anything like that, take things out, add things in, and we're done. So now we're in that second year phase where we're just going back to our pillars and just updating them and saying, okay, now we really want you to do images, but what we really want you to do is ask us for feedback.
Yes,
if you're really struggling on your images and you feel like you don't know how to nail them for Pinterest, there are 7 people here who are willing to give you expert advice. And if you don't take advantage of that, that's not my fault. Like, we are begging you to let us give you feedback.
Every chance you have, we're here. Come on, guys.
Right.
Q&As, forums, Facebook group. You can't not find us unless you're not looking.
Yes. And we like to say too, in our group, the big group that we have has like 20,000 people, and the membership right now has a little over 150. So what we like to say is that we remove the crazy and the myths and all these other things that people are speculating on, and we really get down to business. Like, we're here to be business builders. We don't need part of that. And they appreciate that reprieve from the anecdotal evidence, which can happen with the Facebook ads or anything like that. When you get into social media, there's always conspiracy theories, right? And people love conspiracy theories these days.
You think? Have you been on Facebook lately?
No. Now they're boring. They're like, move along, right? So
I actually learned something from one of our members the other day, because that happens to me all the time. Like, they figure something out and I'm like, that's brilliant. Like, they do something. And I've always had this theory, like, a course has to teach the thing in the way it exists now. Like, if you're going to charge someone $1,000 for a course, which is really a 10-month membership at $100 a month, people, come on now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna teach it better work, is what I'm saying. Like, because there is, or you're gonna get refunds, and also too, you should give people a result that works now, right?
Yeah.
But what I always found was, when we first started our membership, like 80% of this stuff doesn't usually change. Like, the strategy of Pinterest is probably the same now as it was 3 years ago, right? Like, do this, do that. Like, the categorical things, or we actually in our membership, we just redid the whole thing. We call it phases now. Like, these phases don't change. You need an idea. You need to create an avatar. You need to figure out what your product's going to look like inside the membership, like the marketing, like all these phases exist. They just do, right? And then we went through again, and we looked at our process. We actually just went through this again. We've done it 3 times. We did it in 2015. We did it when we launched. We did it again in 2015, and we just did it again this year. So we're getting better at it. We made it 5 years this time without having to update anything. You know what I'm saying?
Job.
You know what I mean? That's pretty legit. So what I figured out was, though, okay, these 80% of things are always true. Now, this 20% of thing always changes. Period. Like, you're not getting out of this membership game, guys, in this passive income dream where everything always works forever, right? That's not true. It just doesn't happen. So, like, but what I said was, we should never make a course for those things that change. And we pulled that out. And then what we do then is, okay, that gives people a reason to keep paying every month, because they get to go into your community and ask your coaches questions. They get to do those. Like, you can actually create retention in your membership if you omit the things that change, right? Now, some niches this doesn't work for.
Right.
Like, if things change every minute, like on Facebook ads, right?
Right.
But in most things, it does. And you can identify more and more of these things that change and more of these things that don't. And if you put them in these 2 buckets, you can really create a dynamic member area that's designed to do 2 things. One, teach people the core of what they need to know, but then leave room for their curiosity to come ask you questions. And then they get used to asking those questions, and they come back the next month and the next month and the next month and the next month and the next month. But this member taught me the other day something really interesting. I've always saved objections for selling, right?
Okay.
When we do a webinar, we're like, hey, you don't have enough time. Yes, you do. Hey, you don't have enough money. Sure, you do. We have these, you're not expert enough. Of course you are, right? Like, all these things that we go through. And what they figured out in their community was, man, I started addressing my 80% became more and more of these objections, because the mindset stuff is what was killing people, and their retention skyrocketed. So we've started doing that, like in our membership too, is like, don't just focus on teaching like Pinterest or memberships or US history teachers. Like, how do you include these evergreen mindset objections that will always exist in your customer pre and post sale? And that's been a revelation for me, because I know that's going to take another 10 courses out of my membership and replace them with something that's going to help people even more and probably build retention, because they'll stick around longer,
Yeah, that's very interesting. It gets me thinking about it too. Like how I sometimes wonder, even as you're talking, like I wonder if we just answered so many questions for them that they don't really have a lot of questions left, right? And so there's these moments where it's kind of quieter in the group. And how do we draw that out even more? And I think that's something that Jocelyn had pointed out to me at one point too, was sometimes people don't need more content. They just need more of you. They just need more of you just answering questions and seeing you that because I was thinking like, how do I get so much content in there and make people feel like there's value? She was like, sometimes value is just showing up in a weekly call like that. And you don't have to create anything. It's just there.
And you don't even have to answer questions. Jocelyn's really, really good at like so she's in the forums. I don't even go in the forums very much. Like maybe once a week I'll jump in, pop a few value bombs, get out. Right. Because I'm totally on content side. Right. But Jocelyn will just go in and even like, not even like, it's amazing. She doesn't even answer their questions sometimes. She's like, that sounds like a pretty good idea. Why don't you try it? And then it just snowballs and that person stays for 6 years. Like, because that one little thing, like we overestimate how smart we all are. Like, and really how much people want or need us. They want the thing, but it ain't about us, And like, I think, and that's what Jocelyn's really good at is just like, I see you. I hear you. I don't know the answer. Or even if I do, I may not tell you because I think you should figure this out on your own.
Yes.
You're close. I feel she's
Which is the best kind of coach, right?
Yeah. Like she knows they're close and she's like, yeah, try it again. You know what I mean? And then they all of a sudden they just go down.
They make $1 million.
They make $1 million. Right. Exactly. Some guy sent us a message yesterday and it was like, hey, I started a ukulele website. I started a ukulele membership with no website and no social media. And we just started sharing it with our friends. And now we have 60 members.
What?
And I'm like, you have a ukulele? Wait, I'm sorry. It's a ukulele. I'm not allowed to say. It's not a ukulele.
Oh, yeah. I would say it your way too.
Yeah. I told him if they ain't careful, it might be a y'all-kulele around here. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But like, I was like, but that person had asked questions before. And I kind of looked back at their journey and I was like, Jocelyn was just like, try it, see what happens. And like, that was enough. It wasn't like, oh, I know the exact thing that you have to. It's not what a membership's for. That's what a course is for. You better have that right answer in a course.
Yes.
Because if you don't, you're getting a $2,000 refund ask. But like in a membership, it's just like spurring them forward. And I think that's where that mindset component, we don't put that in our memberships enough. I have not taught that enough. And boy, I'm going to make a course about it. Like objections in your membership training, right? Like if you started a membership tomorrow, don't even teach anything. Just figure out the 7 big objections, make a 30-minute get over it for each one. And that's your membership. Now you can add the how-to like later. And you could probably make a mint doing that. If you
that's such a good realization. And I think for me being so new in my membership, that's really interesting for me going into phase 2, like not to try to repeat phase 1. Like really getting into that.
We're not looking for just a better version of this. It's like what's better, like period, like forever, right? And like what's evergreen. Your membership took off like a rocket though.
Yeah,
which is amazing because you had already built like a following and you had like, let's go, let's just open this up and people just flooded into it.
Well, and I think our challenge now is we have had. Because the audience has been so warm, we've had the podcast, I've had a newsletter, there's all these engagement pieces already. What we hit at the end of this year was, we need new people. We need cold leads instead of who knows Kate. And that has been a challenge for us. Like, I'm not well-versed in creating funnels and it's not my favorite thing to do. So what does it look like to introduce people to that? And that has been challenging. Like, it's been hard.
Oh, it's really hard. It's still hard for us too. Like that's probably I guess that's everybody's biggest challenge, is like those cold leads. Cause like you're like us, like when people meet Kate, they fall in love with Kate. And come on. And when if they're into the Pinterest world and they're into the brand, they're going to warm up. But like, how do you get that first initial, hi guys, I'm Kate. Right. Like that is really, really tough, like to do that. Cause, but the cool thing is you've got a membership that's going to be there. They're going to keep paying and it gives you time to kind of figure it out. Right. It's not feast or famine, launch to launch. You've got, we got our X members. They're going to pay every month. Let's just keep them happy. Yes. And now we can experiment and play. What are you doing for cold leads right now?
So we started Facebook ads back in January, and we started to create, we already had series of opt-ins. That was never really our problem before. We were always actively growing our email list, but I was really scared to put ad dollars behind it because I thought like it feels like gambling, which kind of it is, right? A little bit.
Worst thing that ever happened to us is we didn't have to earn the paid audience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I was listening to a podcast with Brooke Castillo, and she was talking about like something she had learned from a coach, which was like sometimes you have to just go out and buy rice instead of growing rice. Like growing rice can take a long time, but sometimes just go to the store and buy it. And that was her, relevance of Facebook ads. Sometimes you just have to go out and buy it. And that to me was a light bulb moment. And so we've started that, and it's been really successful. And now our second layer is how do we sell our smaller priced Tripwire products? So we have, Pinterest templates and these smaller price things to get them into how we teach and then sell them downline into the collective. And it's working, but I think a great piece of advice that somebody gave to me was just, it's going to take time to tweak, learn from the data, figure out what works and what doesn't work. And that's just going to take time, and to be patient with that. And I just don't know if I knew how to do that.
Yeah. I love that analogy. That's a great analogy. Like if like you want to grow the rice, or do you want to just go buy some rice and eat the rice?
Go buy it.
Yeah. That is brilliant. And that actually, that's kind of a light bulb for me too. Cause I'm kind of like the same, like I've got this glacier mentality. Like I'm cool being the glacier, just let's go. But that does make sense. Like sometimes, man, just go dump a bucket of snow on top of it, like go get some snow, and like buying the right, like it. Yeah. That's a great analogy.
Yeah. It takes the fear out of it too. Like it removes that thing of like, when people, I think it's just also dispelling the myths of what we see online, the big advertising headlines of like, do Facebook ads, make $10,000. And it's like, no, it's actually, you can go buy the rice, but you're going to have to learn like, okay, what aisle is best to buy it on, and what shelf and all of this. And once you do, and you get the people in, then you get to know them too. Like, who do I really want to come into my ecosystem, and how
the
am
ads
I
are different. The ads are so different for us because like as a membership owner, like for selling an agency, if you're charging $3,000 a month for an agency thing, right?
Yeah.
Like now an agency's got a lot of moving parts, a lot of people, a lot of overhead, right?
Yep.
But you still are getting a huge influx every time someone kind of comes on board. And like, that makes sense that you can go. And I think that's the biggest myth right now on Facebook, is that you can't run ads unless you're selling high ticket things. And that's not true. Like that is not true. Like I know membership, I've seen membership ads, everything from a Catholic priest to weight loss.
Yeah.
To, what we do, like our ads are profitable when I actually run them. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. When I don't just fall back to my nice little grassroots safety blanket.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. But like it can totally be done. You just have to figure out what the funnel looks like to say, okay, well, it costs me $30 to get this lead, or it costs me $5 to get the email. Then it costs me $35 to get a member. And then the member stays 3 months. So I'm profitable in 60 days. So if I just do this 3 months in a row, I'll start making a profit every month.
Yep.
But it's hard to figure out.
It's the dollar suit. Yeah, exactly. I think Kelly Snyder, who's also in the mastermind with Jocelyn and I, she has a great analogy of like, if you were at an ATM and you put in $20 and got out 25, you would stand there all day long. Yeah. And sometimes we get caught up in like, but I'm putting $20 in, but you're making 25, like, right. You're making that $5 window. And I think that was also a realization for me, like, don't get too caught up in the spending, which can feel risky, but if you optimize it enough, you're gonna make the money back. And that was really, really cool for me to definitely hear and understand.
Like, you could even expand that analogy more out a little farther, like for anybody that has a fear of cold ads. Like it's almost like this. Like, what if you could, on the first day of the month, walk up to the ATM and put in a 20, but you didn't get anything back. And then the next month you walked up and put a 20 in, but you didn't get anything back. But then you walked up the third month and it spit out $60. Right? Yeah. Like you're putting that on the calendar. Like every time, like I put in 40 and got 60. That's first. Like date night? No, not on the first. ATM night. That's what that is, right? Like, yes, I mean, that's totally what you're going to do. Like, so like that. And it's hard to wait though. It really is hard to like wait. I'll tell you something that I've done to get over this mental hurdle lately. I finally decided that I was going to do something in my business that was probably a little crazy, that I couldn't track, because I started like researching like how cold advertisers do it, like in marketing, like Pepsi or whatever,
right.
you know, and like they don't give a crap if you run to the store and buy a Pepsi when you see the commercial. They're
building awareness.
Yeah, I mean, you can't track it. Like, it doesn't matter how good you are. You can try, you can have some coupons and whatever. But I started just basically, I'm going to spend $500 on this episode of our podcast to just put it in front of as many people as I can. And I can't track it. It doesn't go anywhere. We actually started editing. Our editor actually came up with this brilliant idea. She said, hey, what if we take the full podcast? And I edited it. She used to work in the news, so they had to like take an hour of footage and cut it down to a 3-minute story. Right. So she was like, hey, what if we condense the podcast down to like a 5 to 10 minute episode? Like, it's a literal episode. It's just a little micro episode. We can throw a link to the full show if they want to watch it, but we'll upload that to Facebook. And now people who use Facebook. Let them watch it on Facebook. Who cares if they download our podcast as long as they see it.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So what we did is we just started saying, hey, set an ad up for this video and try to get in Facebook Watch and get people to see it there. And I'm just going to spend money on letting people know there's a podcast out. I got another ad going to the Apple to Apple. I got another. It has Apple and Spotify's link. And we're going to do it on YouTube. We just started doing it more. Right.
Okay.
But what I figured was, I'm just going to get used to spending money and getting awareness. And I'm going to get a lot of people to see this. And then now I'm not expecting anything back. It will come back to me, because I'm going to retarget the people that watched the video with an ad to go to our community. And that's going to be cheaper, hopefully, at that point. Right.
Yeah.
You just got to commit to something on the cold advertising, or it'll never work, because you'll never figure it out, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And I think one of the cool things for us being in Pinterest too is that we're doing Facebook and Pinterest ads. And Pinterest for us is the great part is when you run a Pinterest ad, it stays there after you turn it off. You know, like it lives on the platform forever. So if people have saved it or if they've clicked it, then it gets shown in the feed still. So what's cool about that is it continues to get this longevity, even if you're not paying. So if we see it boost again, we can give it another boost and give it another boost. But the customers are different. Like Pinterest is really, really cold and they need to be warmed up quite a bit and see things. Whereas Facebook ads, they take quicker action, right? Like, and it's the difference in cost of leads. And I think that's been an important distinction for us is who is our person on these platforms? Because they're different and how we're targeting them is different. And sometimes awareness on Pinterest too can just come and it looks like a typical pin. And that's the cool thing about promoted pins is you can't tell their ads unless you really look at it. Yeah. And so it kind of blends in there for just to people to get awareness and see it. So
yeah, getting traffic on any platform. I heard Russell Brunson say this the other day. He was saying like people who listen to podcasts. People who are on Facebook, use Facebook. People who are on Pinterest, use Pinterest. Yeah. And it's like, I think the mistake we've made in the past was like, well, wait a minute, let's interrupt everybody on Facebook and say, click our link to our podcast. Well, they don't want to do that. They're on, they're in the line at the supermarket running through Facebook, but they might have their AirPods in and they might listen to a video there. Same thing with Pinterest. Like, you know, like if you have Pinterest is like, I always think of it as like, it's visual first.
Yeah.
Pictures worth 1,000 words. But then when I dig into Pinterest, when I use Pinterest on something, I go down and I'm usually looking for text. It's kind of how in my mind, I've kind of like, I want to go to a blog post where that picture lived and I want to read more about what happened with this photo. Right. Yep. Mm-hmm. And it's like, how do you match up that to your message and how do you keep people there happy? Like, right. Like maybe you make a really visual post, like a bunch of GIFs or something like that. And that's what you promote to Pinterest. It pulls them to the thing. Now they consume the content. Then they learn about you. Yeah. But they got to do it on the platform like it's meant to be used. And that's how you get cold traffic into your membership, right? Like you get people where they are and then eventually they'll come around to where you are. Right.
Yes.
You know, and you got to spend money to do that. You know? I saw you ever heard of Jermaine Griggs? You heard of that guy before? He's an OG like Frank Kern, like old school. Like I came out in 2001 and figured this out, y'all. You know? Yeah. And so he teaches gospel piano, right?
Oh, okay.
And he was on, I saw him speak, and I actually got to talk to him for a little while afterwards. And he gave me some great tips on ads because he has a low ticket membership and he does like 3 or 4 million a year. It's ridiculous. It's like $29 a month or something. And he said that he was on stage and he goes, here's me at the Taj Mahal. And he shows a picture of him at the Taj Mahal. He goes, here's me when I was fat. And here's me when I was thin. I had a lot of time to work out because I don't work on my business all day. And then he goes, and here's me in Sahara Desert. I don't know. He's just flipping through all this stuff. And then he said, now, how do you think I did this? And they're like, you built an audience. He goes, I ain't got no audience. I was like, what? And he goes, I ain't got no audience. And he goes, well, you think I got a blog or something? He goes, nah, man, I run ads. He goes, he said, I buy my traffic. I'm not going to sit there and wait for people to find me. He said, I figured out how cold traffic works for me. Mm-hmm. And I stopped doing warm traffic. I stopped blogging. I stopped YouTubing. I stopped whatever, like he's like, I just buy it now. Right.
Yep.
And that's a mentality I'm really trying to get over the hump is like, we've got to create more cold traffic. That's how your membership's going to get to where you want it to be. Like getting discovered and getting leads is our biggest hurdle. The membership's easy. You got courses, you have community, you show up, right? Mm-hmm. The sales funnel, you can learn that. And once you set it up, it's pretty good, right? You don't change it that much. But man, that's the piece. You got to pay attention every day to how you're getting new people to find you.
Yeah, it is tough.
Yeah. And especially when you want to hire somebody else, but you also want to buy ads.
Yes.
Totally. I want to do this, but I want to do that. Okay. So how are you let's go down the funnel. I want to learn about your funnel. Okay. Cause this is interesting to me. So let's say we figured out a flow of people. Okay. Yeah. How then with your, I heard you say Tripwire. So how are you getting people to the membership? Like, what does that look like? Like I've clicked your ad. I'm on a page. What happens next in your membership funnel, basically? Yeah,
that's great. I'll say it is all in process right now. So I'm going to say what I've learned, not where we're at, right? Where we want to be, right?
We're all progressing. We're all evolving. Totally. That's what this podcast is all about. So.
Exactly. So I will say, and for anybody listening, I just hope this is an encouragement to you. For the longest time, funnel to me meant a nurture sequence. And that put a lot of emphasis on our emails and warming them up until finally I had this epiphany one day that I was like, oh, wait a minute. It's way before that. And it's way before this point of the nurture sequence. And so when we had that figured out, we went back to our opt-ins and said, we have this full Pinterest planner. It's like 25 pages. We give it away for free, plans throughout the year. Who needs that? And I think that was the biggest question that we had to get back to. And it was like, okay, somebody trying to figure out Pinterest for their business. But now they've gotten this big planner. What do they need next? And we started asking them and they said, I want to know what a strategy looks like on Pinterest because I don't understand it. So we're in the process of creating a strategy guide, and that's going to be our $17 tripwire. So they'll get that right away to say, hey, you've got this Pinterest marketing planner, but we understand that the greatest question is, what does a strategy look like? We're going to give you some examples, a quick video. Here you go. Well, then we go into a series of emails that talks about how Pinterest is important to their business, the next steps they need to do, the images, kind of teasers a little bit. And then we go into, we have this place, the collective. Here's what it's all about. If you want support, if you want coaching, here's where you can join. And we actually put a coupon code for $10 off in that nurture sequence. It's not anywhere else.
Is it like per month? $10 off per month, basically?
Yeah, exactly. $10 off per month. So it's $97 a month right now. So that would make it $87 for them as long as they're in it. And we say, you can join at any time. You can leave at any time, kind of all of that. And that so far has worked. So we have another one that we've tried too, which has been our specific image guide, because we found people come to the image guide because they're really struggling with Pinterest images, because images are billboard advertising on Pinterest. You have to master that. So they download this image guide and then they get a tripwire for Pinterest templates. Oh, well, you're struggling with it. Just buy these 30 templates for $17. It's super easy. And then that goes into talking more about images and how the collective is a place to coach you on the best images, and our creative directors in there. And then again, we have a different coupon code. So then what we can do is we can track based on the funnel with that coupon code, who's actually using it.
Yeah, that's I just learned something. I love questions.
Yeah.
Like the most important question we can all ask ourselves is, what do I want? right? Like that's my favorite question on the planet. Like, what do I want right now? Like if you're in a moment of indecision, it's kind of like, it's either what do I want or what do I want the least? Like if neither choice is bad, it's like, okay, well, which one do I want to? Do I want to be slapped in the face or punched in the arm? You know what I mean? Like, whatever.
Yes.
That's my thing. But like that question, I've never thought about that. Like, who needs that? Like, that's a really brilliant question, Kate.
Yeah,
like,
it was tough to come up with that, I'll say.
You know, because like if you can answer that, like for example, like I have a lot of courses, but I could easily pull those out and use them as Tripwire or leads or Tripwire. I could do opt-ins, whatever, right? And I could say like, well, who needs that? Like for example, we've got one. As you said that, it immediately came to my mind. We have a course called the Membership Mindset, which is basically designed to show you the difference in a membership and a course. Right?
Okay.
So it goes over the advantages of courses or memberships over courses. And then it goes into like the structure of how you think about your membership. Like for us, it's always, content, community, leadership, right? Those are the 3 pillars. So but now I'm like, who needs that? Right? Like, you know who needs that? Somebody who's on ClickFunnels.
Yeah.
And it's not working. Like they're trying, they read, or somebody's on Kajabi, Kartra, whatever. Somebody's trying to sell a big ticket course. They don't have the network to do a true JV launch, and it's just not working, right? That's who needs that.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. Now I can go target them with an ad.
Teachable, Thinkific, all those platforms.
You just hit the platforms.
Target.
And when you said that, it just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to build that funnel when this call is over. And like
quick action taker.
Yeah, now let's go. And like, I got 2 hours before my next podcast interview. We got this.
Right. We got this.
But it was like, who needs that? And then like the second question you kind of said there was like, and then what's next?
Yeah.
Right. And I have actually never tried a Tripwire in any of our memberships. Not because I'm against them. It's just not, you find something that kind of works and you don't want to break it, Right. So we do trials. But like, I was thinking like, man, maybe I need to do, that's a really good idea, because if that question's for cold traffic, let's say it's cold traffic, like who needs this? Okay. So now I'm showing the cold person at least the thing they need. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then, so they opt in, right? That you get the lead. Okay. And now on the thank you page, which to us, the thank you page is the first sales page. That's how I view it. So it's the only thing you ever can be guaranteed they see. They may never see the email when they opt in because of their filters. They may never see anything else, but they will see that redirect, right? They will see that. And now if you were to put a Tripwire there, which I've never even thought about before, like, okay, well, the membership mindset is like course, 6.2 or whatever. So maybe 6.3, which in our process would be the next thing they need. Well, maybe I put that there and it's like, hey, $19. I'll give you this video. I'll give you this course. So now you've got the Tripwire, and then the next thank you page is always the next sales page. So then you can say, hey, that was awesome. Did you know that we have every other course you will ever need inside the community? Right. Mm-hmm. So like by starting saying like, who needs that? Like looking at all of your content and saying, who needs that? That might be a good guide on how to create a cold ad.
Yeah. And what's really interesting and what we learned was with our first cold ad, we did it with the planner, and we didn't have a Tripwire for a couple of weeks. And then eventually we added what's called our insights dashboard.
Where did you send them before the Tripwire? Straight to the membership page? Or
straight to
the delivery, maybe?
Yeah. So we had the landing page that they went to, which is built on our site. Looks exactly like a sales page, but it's a landing page. And then when they opted in, they got the Tripwire page right away. Like it just said, hold up, this is going to be in your inbox. And even that email that ends up in their inbox, because we actually turned off the double opt-in, so we know for sure it'll go straight there. Then what we decided was that we would put language on the top that says your planner is on its way, but first we want to give you a quick limited time offer of this product. It's really going to help you. We talked about it.
Do you know what we just added to our funnel for that?
What's that?
It's so similar, but like what we did was it's called the tour, which I actually also learned from Jermaine Griggs. Okay. And so you got that thing at the top that says, hey, in 15 minutes, you'll get your thing. Right. Make sure you go find the email. So really that's just to get them to go find the email because they want their thing. Right. But then he said, what you do then though, is you tour what they just opted in for. So like, so you do like a little 2-minute video that's like, hey, Kate here. So excited that you just downloaded the planner. Let me show you the planner real quick. So it doesn't look like a pitch. It's not about the Tripwire. It's just like it's about the thing they just got. Like, hey, and we actually use the word, watch this mandatory tour of your thing, because it triggers psychology. Like, this is mandatory. I better watch this, right?
Okay.
Everything that usually works unless it's like an anti-mask person. Then they're not mandatory. If you're anti-mask, I'm sorry,
it's
right?
my husband.
Nothing's mandatory.
He's like, you tell me to do it, I'm not going to do it.
I'm not doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the rebels opt out of this, basically. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Right. But like basically this tour, and at the last minute of the tour is the pitch for the next thing, and then it appears. So your tripwire pops open. It's like, hey, do you know what would go really good with this planner that I just showed you and got you hyped and excited for? Is what's next.
Okay.
And then we added that, and listen, this is crazy. Like, we have a quarter. So this is not in our opt-ins, but now that I'm saying this, we have our trial.
Okay.
It's a free trial. When they opt in for the trial, basically they fill out their credit card information. We make people do that for their trials. Okay. So, but we don't charge them anything, but they go to this page that says, hey, your username and password will be there in 15 minutes. Watch this mandatory tour of the thing. Right.
Okay.
I go 3 minutes, show them around real quick of the community, get them hyped up, get them excited. Then I say, hey, you know what? The next step for you is to commit. Like, you're not going to succeed unless you're committed. And I love to reward people who commit. That's the people we like to help the most in the Flip Your Life community. So why don't you just upgrade to this quarterly now, and I'll give you 50% off. And boom, they take it. 37.5% of people right now in July that did this, when we started doing that, took the upsell. So I think wouldn't that work for a Tripwire too?
Oh,
it would totally work. It's the same thing.
Yeah, and you're actually like rocking my world, because this has been the frustrating thing with the planner, because we've put these tripwires in place. Like we have this dashboard, nobody buys it. And we're getting planner leads right now for like 70 cents. I mean, it's real cheap. They won't buy this. So we took it out. And then we put the Pinterest templates in, and we thought this will be the answer. Won't buy that. And so now we came up with this Pinterest strategy guide, but you just put the missing piece in place that we have to have, with the planner being so robust, they're left with this 25 pages going, what do I do with this?
Yeah, and it's not even a how-to guide. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
it's literally.
Let me show you what this is.
Yes, like let me give you a really quick overview so you're going to understand it better. This is for you, and then but then what you get to do is you don't get to say, "You got that, buy the Tripwire next."
No,
like you get to say, "Hey, look at this thing." And I can't tell you everything about this thing right now that you just opted in for the lead. But you know what? I can give you a really good tour. It's going to help you. But then this is the thing. If you will attach it to this, it's going to be so much better, right? And you get to do a little mini pitch, and then the thing appears. It's not. I think mine right now is I've got text under it that doesn't appear, but I probably
like a
would
big
be better
button.
off. Yeah, I've got like a big button under it, and I think that appears after like a minute and a half.
What are you using? What's your software?
Kajabi.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So it's just an upsell page, and the thing pops up, and it's text. If they don't watch the video, I've got word for word in a sales letter under it that what I say in the video. So it's just copy. But I never thought that to even think about that for an opt-in, right? Like that concept, if it converts that much there, it would have to work. For a Tripwire. You know what I'm saying?
That's so fascinating. And it feels like that's a level up for like that. Now I can stop beating my head against a wall trying to figure out, because I realized those two things. And then even with our image guide, do the same thing. Like, you want to take action right away. Here's these Pinterest templates, super cheap right now. There's 30 of them. Boom, $17.
Yeah, and it's not that people get really confused too, I think, with memberships too, because like you're always just pushing people forward.
Yes.
You're not really, we focus too much on our stuff. We all have egos, and we think our courses are awesome, and look at this strategy guide. It's so cool. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not true. It's like people like, okay, here's what happens, I think, psychology wise with an opt-in for this in the membership model. So the membership model is all about taking a huge process and breaking it up into, basically, if you've got a 52-point course, it needs to be broken up weekly, and that's a year of retention. Like, just think about it that way. It's easier, right? And then, so what happens is the first thing is, okay, well, you want this calendar, which is free. Well, no, that's not even right. Who needs that? The person who's ready to do something with Pinterest.
Yeah.
They need that. So what do? You give them the thing that they need. That's the opt-in. Okay. When someone opts in for that calendar, or if someone opts in for like my idea guide, which is the first thing that we usually show people, like, you need an idea or you can't have a membership, right? You gotta find your God-given talents and experiences, or you're never going to be able to teach anybody anything. Okay.
Right.
So that's the first step for us. your first step is this calendar. When they opt in for that, their brain triggers and they feel like they've already taken that step. Like most people are not going to go look at that calendar. They're not going to look at my idea course. They're not going to look at the thing. They're going to brush right by that because they just got that itty bitty dopamine rush. That
Yes.
I did it. I took the next step. I'm committed to Pinterest now, and I've got my calendar. And they may never
Yes.
look at it, right? But
Right.
then,
If you get that video.
yeah, they get that video. Then it's like, congratulations, you have taken your next step in Pinterest marketing, and you have this calendar now. And whenever you're ready, you've probably already got it figured out. You know what you're going to do for the next 3 months, right? So let me show you what to do next, and that's the Tripwire. Like this thing with that thing equals greatness. And it's only $19. It's $19, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you pitch them. Now imagine this. Okay, I'm getting carried away.
I know, I love it.
Too much coffee. All right, because I'm revealing stuff in my own mind here, talking to you. Like that question, who needs that, has blown my mind. Like for membership marketing. But the next thing then is, think about this: you get them to take that Tripwire, then you offer them a trial. Because I just spent $19. Well, hey, $1 next month. Why don't you give the whole community a try? You're going to be spending time with this calendar. You're going to be spending time with that strategy guide you just picked up. Like, jump in the community, talk to our coaches, come to our member calls. 30 days, you can cancel anytime. Try it. You know, it's not. If it was a free trial, why would you not add or order bump it? Wait a minute.
That's what I was going to ask. Okay, go down that road because I'm curious what you do with the order bump.
Okay, so what if it looked like this? I've never thought about this job. This is amazing. Like, so if you go add, shows them the thing, and then that goes and gets the opt-in. Okay.
With the tour.
Hold on. Right. Okay. The first, let's go page by page. Okay. So let's go add. Okay. Add on Facebook or Pinterest, whatever. Okay. There's a link. So what happens when they click the link? They land on a page. The page sells the lead magnet, basically. It doesn't sell it, but it's convincing them to opt in. Right.
Right.
So they opt in, and then they go to the next page, which is the delivery page for the opt-in. Right. So right here is where the tour is. Okay. Of the thing they just opted in for. 3 minutes, really short. All right, so we got an opt-in. Now, the Tripwire reveals. We've sold it in this little video. We've got copy that sells it. The next step would be to click a button, right? Because they got to go to the order form to actually give you money. Okay, so that's the Tripwire. All right, now, so the order form is there. You got to be careful here, because you don't want to slow them down at this point. You don't want them watching another video.
No.
You may need some quick copy just to keep them going. Here's what happens next, right? So they start filling out this thing, and then right at the bottom, hey, today only, you're going to need support this. We have 7 coaches. I'm available. We have a membership community. Now this is dangerous because recurring revenue on an order bump is always, there's going to be customer service involved in this. Everybody listening. Okay. But what if you just order bumped a free trial? 1 month. Hey, not only do you have this awesome strategy guide, you got the free calendar, but why not, if you have questions about this, we have a community, we have coaches on staff, we do member calls. Why don't you just join for free, 30 days. You don't like it, cancel it anytime. And they could just click it, add it, order bump. 30 days later, you've got half of those people are recurring revenue, right?
Yeah.
And half the people you may give the money back. But forget the sales page. Just order bump the Tripwire into your membership. And now, oh my gosh, if you're getting ad spend at 0, if like you spend 17, get the 17, and then they order form click.
Yeah.
And then half of those recover the next month, you are crushing. It's free members. Yeah.
Totally. That's such a great idea. I didn't even think about it. And I've been nervous to try the trial thing. I don't know why, but
it's amazing.
I know you guys have done it, and I've just been nervous about it. But now that we did just move somebody from our team over there to do more customer service. So there's more people on that side who can manage it. But that's very fascinating.
You don't get that much more customer service. Like all you really get is like you'll get an occasional mad person because they forgot they signed up for it. But like we just have a standing rule. Like if anyone's mad, give them their money back. Like it doesn't matter. Right.
Yeah.
Like
totally.
If you say cancel and give my money back, we're like, oh, sorry. There you go. Like first month, we'll give them their money back all day long.
So would you do $1 to get their credit card, or would you do free?
I do free. And I say at the top, hey, we really value the culture of our community. It's the best community about memberships on the planet. So we take a credit card with the free trial. This will make it easier on you if you want to keep it because you can just renew. There's a cancel button in the membership if you really want to cancel. And, it basically lets us know who you are. We have to verify your identity if you're going to come into our community, right?
Yes.
So they got a freebie from the course. They can take that for free. But that's how we word it on our free trial page. The only difference in it. Okay, so I actually interviewed Robbie Baxter, who's the author of The Membership Economy. That's a really good episode too if you want to go back and listen to it.
Okay, yeah, I will.
But we were talking about free trials on that, and we were talking about the difference in free and dollars. Dollar trials definitely are better leads. They stay longer. They're a better thing, but you can put so many more free trials in is why we go free trial. I will like it. When we looked at the numbers, LTV of dollar trial was higher, right? But if you looked at the totals and you said, well, wait a minute. Yeah, but we got 30% more free trials sold. So even if they stay less, we still made more money over the same year. Right?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, the free trial, Robbie said, you use when people don't understand what you're doing or they don't trust you. Okay.
So definitely cold.
Definitely cold. It's really good for cold people because they're like, are you skeptical? Kick the tires for 30 days, right? Or, hey, look, maybe you don't see where this is going. Come on in the community and let's explain it better and you'll see how it works, right? So those are two really good reasons to use free trials. And then dollar trials are when you're really trying to filter your list and you're trying to find people who are like actual members, like quality versus quantity. You really want the right people in there because even spending $1 is a huge commitment to people. Like the credit card's irrelevant, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now what the credit card does do on the free trial that we found is it's an amazing filter to protect the culture of your community because people will opt in for a free trial, but they want to be anonymous and they're kind of just freebie seekers and they're kind of seeing what they can steal and they're kind of, or maybe they're not really ready to they're not ready to do Pinterest marketing. You know what I'm saying? But but if you put in a credit card, you're at least serious enough to kind of be like, yeah, I'm Bob. I'm in here. I'm looking around. It's pretty cool. It's like when you're in a shopping. It's like when you're shopping and someone goes, hey, do you need any help? You're like, no, I'm just looking around. Like that's the kind of, but you're looking for that person who might buy something, right? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how we view all of these different trials.
Right.
And, we just kind of, and what I do with dollar trials now, I will do a dollar trial sometimes, but I'll add a bonus to it. So that's a differentiator. Like free trial, come on in, but I got some courses that are not in the community and I'm like, hey, we're running a dollar trial right now and you get this forever. So it's like a super opt-in, right? For people who are already on your list. I think this would be amazing to test as an order bump for a free trial. I because they're already typing their credit card in to give you the Tripwire money.
Right.
And that's going to pay for your ads.
Yeah, this is like completely blowing my mind because I think we just hadn't really thought about it this way. And what I think has been an uphill battle for us is people know Pinterest courses, but they can't necessarily understand Pinterest membership. So what you just said about like getting those cold people to understand what it is and to see it, I think has been our biggest objection. And people going, but do you have content in there? Do you have some videos for me to learn from?
So what you've done is this is. I'm building this today, Kate. We are getting off here.
I know. I want to see it after you're done.
Whenever anyone listens to this podcast, I apologize for. You're probably not mad because you're like, this is great. I'm writing this down too, right? This is going to get me some more members this month, right?
Right.
But like, I think what it does is, oh my gosh, it just eliminates the need to explain what's in the membership because here's what happens. They've already agreed to give you some money for that content, which means they're willing to give you money for your content, right? So that's irrelevant. It's a moot point. So the order bump copy, the little text box. What do y'all use? Do y'all use Kajabi or ClickFunnels?
We use we have Access Ally, so it's all it's all built, and then we use ThriveCart.
Oh yeah, perfect.
So we can do the order bump on ThriveCart.
Yeah, and it's got the little like square, and it has a little checkbox and the words and whatever. Like your copy can be so concise because you're not trying to sell them on the content. You're not trying to sell them on anything. You're just trying to say, hey, look, you're not alone. We have a community, we have this amazing community of Pinterest marketers or whatever. And then we also have 7 coaches and Kate, I'm in here too, right? So all you're convincing them is, hey, why don't you join the collective so that you have support on the thing you've already decided to buy and we can help you implement your calendar. So it's just like the easiest thing ever. And it's like, yeah, I'll do that for 30 days. Now we get the opportunity for onboarding. Now we get the opportunity to get them on a member call, to get them to the community, to send them a reminder. Right. And then now this is something else. Like, this is crazy.
I know. So good.
So this is something I'm already doing. Okay. So we have this thing that's very similar to what you're doing up front. Like you're saying, hey, if you join today, I'll give you $10 off every month. Yep. Right. What we do is we get them to take the free trial. I send an email out 3 days before they renew that says, hey, if you renew, 20% off forever. So it's already baked. So they're going to get a discount. And I tell them this is going to be $20 a month. It's going to save you $250 a year. Like I got this whole sales letter that sells the loyalty bribe. That's what we call that. Like, right. Like, all right. Our membership's $97 a month, but if in 3 days you're going to renew, if you renew, you know, you love it. You've been to the Q&As, you've been to the member calls, you've tried forums, you've taken a course, 20% off forever. If you renew right now, we keep a record. If you try to come back, you're not going to get this discount. You know what I mean? So then what you do is you use that 10. So you've never got to present your $10 off thing if they do it this way, if they join through the Tripwire. So what you do is then you just send that same email on day 3, on the third day out that says, hey, thanks for trying it out. I hope you enjoyed the strategy guide. I know you've got that calendar rocking and rolling. I hope that we helped you this month. We'd love for you to stay in the collective. You're going to renew in 3 days automatically. You don't have to do anything. It'll renew for you if you do. And if you do renew, I'll give you $10 off forever. So you get this, now you get this chance toward the retention moment, which is the really most important part of their journey. Like, do they stay the second month? That's all of your energy in your first year should be on that. Like, how do I onboard people, right? Because if you improve that number, you get exponential growth on the backside.
Yeah, you know? Totally.
So now you get to still do the same thing you're doing. You just do it later in an onboarding sequence, basically.
It's a good thing I planned a work weekend this weekend because now I can do all this. I'm
I know, right?
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's pretty cool. I mean, it's like, you know, I'm going to do this. I don't know why. See, I've always tried to make my money back on the backside once they join. I'm like, okay, now we retain them. Now we upsell them. Now we get people to, you know, commit to quarterlies and annuals to get more money up front. Now we sell other things like my $1 million membership funnel that's happening. I'm doing that next month. It's like a 5K program. Right. Okay. So like I've got other ascension stuff, but I don't know why I've never thought to do that Tripwire. I've never thought about it. And I'd say everybody listening
takes talking to people. You got everybody listening just got real detailed with how this is going to work.
That's how this podcast was supposed to be. It's
totally.
Like you start talking and just see where it ends. I ain't here. I love your story, but I'm not here to tell your story. I'm here to figure out how to make some money, Kate. That's what we're here for. Okay?
I know. I turned to my husband the other day when I was looking at something and it was money, and I was like, Dave, I love making money. Like, it's so fun.
Right. And if I can figure out a way to make more of it, I'm going down that rabbit hole.
And Dave's whole goal is he's like, I just want to give as much of it away. I'm like, okay, if you let me make it, we'll come up with a plan and you give it away to whatever organizations you want. That's his deal.
I think a core takeaway here, because we better stop because we're getting really overwhelming, and I don't know if I can build this in 2 hours if we add one more part. Okay.
Totally.
But like, I think what the funny thing is, the core takeaway, that was a lot of tactics.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we can implement those tactics with our teams now. But like, that question really, like, who needs that? Like that really is what made me go down that rabbit hole of thinking about this, because like, when you said that, I was like, oh my God, they need a Tripwire. Like they like, who needs that? The person who just opted in really needs me to sell them that next step for the membership. Like, Tripwires are a common practice in marketing, but like, no, a membership person really, really needs that. Right.
Yes.
Because that's going to bring them to the door where they can walk into the membership, you know?
Yeah.
So that's legit. That's legit, friend.
We solved all the problems.
World peace. All right. All right. We'll tackle all the viruses next, and then we'll go after
conspiracy theories.
Then we'll go after all the UFOs. That's our next mission. All right. Well, listen, Kate, I really appreciate you for coming on the show today. This was an awesome chat, and I think some people are going to make a lot of money from this episode.
Yeah, I hope we both do.
I do too. We'll do this for 6 months, and we'll have a follow-up episode.
Totally. Let's do it.
And then we'll be like, aha, how much did you make on your Tripwires? You know what I'm saying? Good stuff.
Let's do it.